ball. If you want, we can let's start with last week's. Let's start with last week's commits all the way to this week's commits. And if you would just kind of tell us what type of player we're getting and with all these guys.
Yeah, well, the fireworks started late Wednesday night last week with Jim Nagy, Stacey Ford, and Cale Pearson all posting Boomer Sooner or big things happening. And then Josh McCuistion on Sooner Scoop kind of hinted at it, that a 5-star flip was going to go OU's way. And then 8 a.m. Central Time, I was in Chicago in the Chicago home office, visiting my mom, and Cooper Hackett flipped to OU. He decided he didn't want to go to Texas Tech. He'd been to the last 2 OU home games, have been very prominent there, wearing OU regalia, and he flipped to OU. That had been kind of hinted about a little bit, so that wasn't the biggest surprise that maybe OU was ready to flip him. That the good start by the Sooners had impressed Mr. Hackett. And then 5 minutes later, Caden Penny from Bixby committed to OU, which was kind of a shock. I thought OU led for him, but I didn't think he was anywhere close to a decision point. Nothing like that was sort of on the radar. And that gave OU the number 1 and number 2 players in the class for 2027 from the state of Oklahoma. And it also gave them, based upon rivals, a 5-star player in the top 15 in the nation. Cooper Hackett's going to be ranked somewhere in the top 15 by any service. He could only move up, I think. He could end up being something like top 5 by the time this all ends up. And then Caden Penny, who was super impressive at OU summer camp, has been moving up the rankings. He's a consensus top 100 player. Rivals has him around number 34 in the nation. He's 6'4", 280, 275, 280. And remember, he's a 2027 player, so he's got a whole nother high school year before his senior year. And then Cooper Hackett is, very well publicized. He's about 6'7", 260. Maybe 270, something like that right about now, but getting, just has a huge frame, just needs to add weight. And Chris, they're probably the 2 best in-state offensive linemen since Jamal Brown, Wes Sims, probably, till you throw some names out there that some of you guys may not remember. And even Jamal out of high school was more of a defensive tackle before he moved to offensive tackle, became an Outland Trophy winner and multiple All-American, multiple All-Pro, and Josh McCuistion over Sooner Scoop to just cite him again just because O-line's a little bit of his specialty. His comp for Caden Penny was Davin Joseph, the, again, multiple-time All-American, multiple-time All-Pro offensive guard who played most of his career with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. So if we're talking, both these guys are in sort of heady comp territory in terms of their rankings and their potential. It's to lock these guys down this early is sort of the same equivalent as locking down like a 5-star quarterback, in my opinion, in terms of their recruiting impact. Everybody in state knows them. They are best buddies. That's why they sort of, I don't know that they timed all this together. Maybe they did, but it was a bang, bang impact that took OU to number 2 in the recruiting rankings for 2027. And the next guy we'll talk about has pushed OU, I believe, to number 1. I believe OU has the number 1 ranked class for 2027 right now.
Who's the next person?
Well, that was Monday morning. Of course, I'm traveling, so I didn't have much of a chance. I picked it up on Twitter right before I got on a plane. OU's close. It's very, very close. They're still number 2 on Rivals. It's Mikael McCrary, cornerback from San Antonio, 4-star, top 200 player. He's one of the guys getting a big offer from Texas Tech. So OU has now out-recruited the Texas Tech money train from Double Eagle in Lubbock. McCrary was rumored to be going to Tech at one point, but chose OU over Texas Tech, probably Texas, and a bunch of other places. He's 6'1", 175 pounds, top 200 type guy in the nation. Fits the big cornerback, big DB look that OU seems to be loading that room up with. I think he has some positional flexibility at safety as well. Safeties at cover. Okay, give me as many of those as possible in today's action. So OU now has 5 verbal commitments for 2027. They're the number 2 class in the nation on Rivals. I think they might be number 1 on 3 on 247. Let me check.
Is that where you see him like going to McCreary Kid? Do you see him more of a safety type, or do you see him being a safety? I mean, I'm not safety, excuse me, being a corner as well. Like, which room is he in? Is he a Valai guy, or when you put on tape, or is he a Brandon Hall type guy?
It's hard to tell, Chris, because he looks like a little bit of both. And OU has some serious cornerback guys out there. You've got Trenton Blaylock, Torrey's younger brother, Montre Jackson, who's from Garland, who OU has been recruiting heavily, and maybe McCrary took a spot, and some of these other guys are going to fall off. But OU's got like 3 or 4 elite-looking cornerbacks that they've been recruiting. There's a couple of guys coming in for visits from California that are elite. And OU's got Derek Johnson's younger brother, Darius, who's a top 100 guy as well, who was on campus for the Michigan game. So I suspect, Chris, that OU sort of likes McCrary to either spot, and it's just he fits a big DB class, which OU's going to sign, and they'll kind of worry about this later. I mean, he's got a good frame. He's 175 right now. If he gets to 190, and you like the way he's playing, and you think he might be a bigger addition at safety, I think he can go that way. If you pick up some of these other cornerbacks you're looking at, you could have a big cornerback class again, like this year's class that just enrolled. So I think it gives OU positional flexibility. They like adding. OU wants to be making more of a little headway in San Antonio. He's from San Antonio. OU has another player from San Antonio that they are after, a big safety that I've talked about previously on my podcast and this podcast. So it's interesting. OU's now the number 1 class on 247. They're ahead of Penn State on 247 and just behind them on the new Rivals rankings. So, just to refresh everyone, the 5 commits are Cooper Hackett, offensive tackle, 5-star, Caden Penny, offensive guard probably for OU, but he has right tackle kind of potential. Top 35 on Rivals. Demary Dezern from California, slot receiver, having a great junior year. He's a top 100 player. Then you have Mikael McCrary, cornerback from San Antonio, top 200. And then you have Luke Wilson, who is the tackle from South Lake Carroll, who gives you 2 tackles. OU has 2 tackles already in this class. And he's in the 400s. He's right outside 4-star territory, but I think he's going to make a move up in the next rankings. And when you see South Lake Carroll play, the 2 tackles they have are Luke Wilson, and then as a kid who OU was kind of recruiting, who chose Michigan. I mean, they're dominating people right now. So I think Luke Wilson is a underrated pickup. And OU right now, if you're obsessed with star counts and blue chip counts, OU has 5 prospects, and 4 of them are blue chips.
Okay. So just moving on from them just for a second to keep it going. Obviously, there was a decommitment that happened with the Allen kid. He decommitted from Tulane. So it seems like that's now down to, at least they put it on a graphic, Colorado and OU. You said that last week. So kind of where are you at with that kid as far as his recruiting? Because I think that would go with Shout out to my guy Brandon. Shout out to my guy Brandon in here. Good guy, good dude. Terrible barbecue though. But do y'all expect any more commits for the 26 class?
Yes, I mean, so right now, Fawcett, the Fawcett guy from On3, posted that OU's getting 2 verbal commitments. The first one is obviously Mikael McCrary. He went live. So the next one could be a 26 player. It could be Braden Allen or the wide receiver from Louisiana that OU really likes. He just visited Colorado. I don't think that was the greatest Colorado game to go watch it to have it. I mean, I know the new Buffalo got some run and they like about that, but I don't. Maybe that wasn't the greatest game for them. They didn't look very good. Lost to BYU at home. So I think that's trending OU's way. It wouldn't shock me if it isn't trending OU's way. Now we need to kind of catch up on predictions, Chris, because they keep flying in. For the Sooners. So we had 3 outs. We have 3 outstanding from previous shows. Jacob Curry, the linebacker from Miami, who just posted something on Twitter about his OU visit from 2 weeks ago. We have Braden Allen, the wide receiver from Louisiana, who just decommitted from Tulane. Looks like he's choosing between OU and Colorado. And then we have Daniel McMorris, the offensive tackle from Norman North, who just received his OU offer, and it kind of got buried in the John Mateer thumb news. Okay. Then we have 2 new 2027. That's the 3 2026 kids, all 3 who could drop to OU at like any minute. And then we have the 2 2027 kids that are still outstanding. The older prediction is Jackson Roper, the big corner, the big offensive tackle, offensive guard from Colorado, goes to the same sort of development trainer guy as Deacon Schmidt. He's 6'4", 6'5", 290, 295. He was just at the Ole Miss game. Not sure how that will impact it, but he's got a lot of connections to OU. Then the name that was a little more surprising was Utah outside linebacker, defensive end, Crew Jones, 6'4", 230, physical, fast off the edge. Maybe he's a white outside linebacker, and that's why I think he's kind of Jake Cruel-like. Maybe that's a bad comp, and I'm just going with every short slot receiver looks like Danny Amendola, but maybe I'm on that crutch, but hard not to make that comparison. And Crew Jones seems to be in play for an OU commitment as well. So we've got 3 guys for 2026, and we have 2 more guys for 2027 who could fall to OU, I think, again, anytime in the next week. So to say OU's on a recruiting heater right now would be an understatement. And we haven't even got to the fact, Chris, that Arkansas kids are in play, Florida kids are in play, and maybe some Auburn kids might be in play, because I'm not sure Hugh Freeze is keeping his job if he keeps Jackson Arnold as his quarterback.
That's the interesting part. Let's go to some of the questions, guys. If you got questions, go ahead and ask them now. I'll start them and we'll answer them as much as we can. Again, we're here for a good time, not a long time. With these pods, we try to keep it short. But are we? Boomer 129 says, are we in on any transfers from Arky? We've got to answer this question, because Boomer 129, all he does is put jokes in the chat and troll. So he finally asked the question. So let's answer it.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Arkansas roster may have 1 or 2 players that OU would be interested to from a transfer perspective. Obviously, that running back is doing a good job, although he did fumble. He did fumble critical fumble against, I think, Memphis. In terms of their recruiting class, they have an interesting offensive guard from Buford, Georgia, that OU seems to be kind of circling around. Mm-hmm. Joseph Mubanga, I believe is how you pronounce this, or Mubenga. he's from Buford. Buford has a number of players that are recently has had a number of players who are, I believe, Nigerian immigrants. It's similar to the way Michael Fasusi and the Winery kid from Missouri that OU was recruiting at one point. So that's a name to watch. There's also a linebacker from Alabama. That's a 4-star guy who OU could look at depending upon how things happen with Jacob Curry. Let's remember Jacob Curry, OU went after him when he was a Northwestern commit and no one was paying any attention. All the OU recruiting people of just obsessive stars were like, 3-star U, why are we going after this guy? And then he became a 4-star on Rivals, and Ohio State, FSU, Miami, all of them want him. But if OU doesn't close that recruiting out, they could target this. There's a linebacker, like I said, from the Alabama area that Arkansas recruited. He's 6'3", 215, looks really good on film. So there's a couple of players that Arkansas you could target based upon Pittman being let go.
Mm-hmm. Don't they have a linebacker in that class, like a high 4-star linebacker that just decommitted?
Yeah, that's the one. That's the guy I'm talking about.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Yeah, let me pull his name real quick. I'm
just thinking, like, what's his name?
I don't have Arkansas's recruiting class, completely memorized. Sorry, Pigs fans, but it's not necessarily something I keep a lot of attention to. Yeah, he's decommitted, so now he's going to be harder to find.
JJ Bush.
Yeah, that's it. JJ Bush. That is correct. Thank you, Topher. You're always keeping me straight there. But they have a cornerback from Georgia that OU seems to be circling, Jalen Copeland from Valdosta. So there's some decent talent in the class. Most of it has decommitted. But yeah, OU could look at a couple of Arkansas guys. The Arkansas guy that most folks I think want OU to kind of recruit is Danny Beal. The Oklahoma State. An Okie. When you're talking Oklahoma State decommits, I don't think OU is going to make a run at Caden Jones. I don't think they're going to look at Taj Overton. But the name that OU could look at is Danny Beal because he's a big nose guard from Arkansas, very highly ranked. I kind of wondered why OSU got him in the first place. He's 6'3", 6'4", 310, something in that range. He's a big physical nose guard. He would fit the kind of the Dominic Williams kind of mold for the Sooners. So I think OU could decide to do something there, but they already have 3 defensive tackles. So we'll see what happens there. I don't think they're going to touch anybody else from. I don't see a lot of transfers from Oklahoma State. I don't know that roster has a lot of talent. I think it got rated last year. I know you did rate it last year. So Satterfield, you mean Danny Beal, right? That's the name you mean, not Bell, right? I'm
sure. Yeah.
I think that's what he's talking about.
Jimmy, clarify. Let's go to the next question real quick. Says, Jaden Pettit, what about that kid and Gross?
Jaden Petit should decommit from Wisconsin and beg OU to re-recruit him. That was a terrible decision from the start. Wisconsin's bad, like Oklahoma State bad. I mean, maybe not that bad, but yeah, but bad. So I think if OU wanted to re-engage there, Jaden Petit probably needs to seriously think about dumping the Badgers soon and jumping on a roster that actually throws the ball, where he actually knows who will be the coach. Davion Gross. I we'll have to see how Florida does this weekend. Every time you think you've put the last shovel of dirt on Napier, he finds a way to rope-a-dope and keep going. If they were to knock off Texas this weekend, I'm not predicting that they do. Predictions are for Thursday night, not tonight. But I think OU will. If Braden Allen chooses Colorado over Oklahoma, a reversal of where most folks think that's heading, that might be a hint that OU has decided that they want to save a wide receiver slot for Davion Gross or another big time flip somewhere else in college football.
So let me jump in here real quick. Bevo, if you are here, Bevo's bodyguard, we know that you're here. You were in here talking trash. Do y'all beat Florida this weekend? We'll take that up in the chat. Anyways, Topher B says Danny Beal, yes, Georgia has reached out to him already.
Yeah, and that's I mean, he would be a perfect fit for Georgia's system as a nose guard. So OU, I think, might kick the tires there. They like the 3 defensive linemen they have. We'll see. Teron Richardson, it was mentioned, he took a visit to Ole Miss, I think. Is that right?
Yeah, that's what Topher just said that too.
Yeah, sorry. Deacon Schmidt was at Colorado. I don't think that's a problem. Teron Richardson being at Ole Miss and Ole Miss having that huge win over LSU, that's probably something to track, something OU needs to have a conversation with Teron about and see where they are. If he's going to be taking visits, then OU needs to bring in another player. And if OU is to bring a defensive tackle in that's out there, I would choose Danny Beal. He is a true nose guard, would fit with 3 tech, James Carrington, and then fit with Brian Harris, who can do a little bit of everything. So that's the move I would make, yeah.
Who's his Paris kid?
So Iowa State has a commitment from a kid from Akron, Ohio. OU just offered. He's 6'5", 200 pounds. A lot of big-time schools are coming after him now. His film's really good. Big kid, and everybody sort of realizes that Iowa State kind of knows big wide receivers and tight ends. I mean, OU's trying not to let the younger Kolar go anywhere right after missing on the first one. Trying to reverse that for 2027. But yes, so OU is trying to get a visit from him. He's vaulted in the top 200. He may be even better than that on film, Chris. His film looks really good. Big, deep threat, long, athletic, just checks kind of all those boxes. So if you could get Petit, Paris, or Gross, it would be good. It would be a nice addition to the wide receiver group. Gross, obviously, a little more sizzle there from a recruiting rankings perspective, and he would do a lot of the stuff that you see OU using Deion Burks, a lot of the reverses and some of the short stuff you're doing. You could do all of that with Davion Gross, and he's a bigger athlete kind of doing it. But that's in play. I have nothing to back this up, Chris, but I wouldn't shock me if we don't hear something about Jonathan Hatton again in the next couple of weeks.
Really?
Yeah.
Is the senior film showing what it needs to show? Is he doing what he needs to do? I mean, obviously, hey, those running backs down there for Texas A&M look pretty damn good right now. So,
and they've got an elite kid ahead of him.
Yeah.
I don't know. He's got something like 984 yards in 4 games. That would tell me that he's kind of doing some stuff. So if I was OU, I would think a second high school running back in this class might be something I want to think about.
Let's see, Boomer129, he says anyone from Little Bro we would even consider taking as a transfer.
No one I saw playing against Tulsa would be worth a transfer. I don't know about you, Chris. I think that roster's gutted. I mean, maybe the Henne kid when he comes back from injury looks good, but I don't think we want that kind of a transfer quarterback.
No, I don't know. I think some of those kids are projects or whatnot. I mean, what's happening at OSU is just, it kind of just is what it is. I don't know. There's, Brady Trantham. Shout out to my guy, Brady Trantham. Brady said it last year. He said, when we were running out some of the guys on the offensive line that we were, and he said, hey, man, this is a problem. You can't go get G5 All-Stars and think that you're going to have success, especially in a league like the SEC. And with O State, it's just one of those things where, my fiance, she's the O State fan, so we're technically a house divided. We're not, but anyways, she said, so were we not like? Are we behind on the NIL? Was Gundy reluctant to do the NIL? I think that's the dumbest thing when they talk about that. Chris Mason, Gundy was not necessarily reluctant on NIL. He embraced it as much as he possibly could, even though it hurt him in every fiber that he had in his body. The problem is that I brought it up. I said, yeah, LSU is playing Southeast Louisiana. You guys went and got guys that would start at Southeast Louisiana, but not ever get a chance to play at LSU. I was like, that's the difference. You can't go spend big money on D2 All-Stars, even though Gundy has had success in the past. Hell, Stribling, who's up there at Ole Miss right now, came from a D3 school. So he knows talent he can develop, but it's just one of those things where, like, when literally you're on the hot seat, that's probably not the move to make. I digress, though, Chris Mason. Keep going.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think that. I think that roster's already gutted. I mean, let's be honest. The gem out there is probably Hugh Freeze tanking at Auburn and the Auburn roster. That's probably the place where, Cam Coleman has to play college football next year somewhere. He's only a sophomore. He can't enter the draft. He can't file an appeal. He can't file an appeal somehow to get into the draft, even though the NFL might be like, well, you're pretty good. So we'll see. The Auburn one would be the one. They're good. They've got a good recruiting class. It's a linebacker they have that I think OU could probably get involved with if they wanted to. The kid from Florida who used to live in Oklahoma that Oklahoma tried to get on and never could make any headway. So Auburn's got good guys. They've got a good recruiting class, and that roster is not without talent. So Auburn, I think, is probably I think that's probably the gold mine right there. I mean, I think Taylor Green's eligible to go in the draft, but if he decides from the Arkansas perspective, but if Taylor Green was to decide, well, I want to play another year in college, I mean, that'll be an absolute bloodbath of a recruiting battle for a transfer portal quarterback, because you put Taylor Green on like a lot of rosters, and that would accelerate them to a higher level. So I think that would be the big Archie move if Taylor Green decides I'm not going to go pro. I'm going to use my last year of eligibility, and he put himself on the open market. I mean, we're talking like a Cam Ward, Dylan Gabriel type bidding war for a kid at quarterback. I mean, if I was OU, depending upon what happens, I would be like, depending upon our circumstances, how our circumstances with quarterbacks go the rest of the year. I mean, even a place like OU would be like, yeah, we'll take Taylor Green. I mean, he's that talented. So yeah, it's gonna be interesting with so many coaches already let go. And you've got two big SEC teams who may. I mean, can Hugh Freeze survive his next two home games with Georgia and who's the other team? Chris, help me. They have Georgia and
no, it's not Missouri. Here, give me a second.
I think it might be Missouri.
Auburn at home. Yeah, excuse me. I said Auburn at home. Excuse me. Georgia at home, and then Missouri at home as well.
Yeah. So but if they go on a 4-game losing streak and lose to the best 4 teams that they played, Hugh might be in a little problems. I mean, I don't know how he doesn't switch to the big time kid that they stole from Notre Dame. I don't know how he doesn't make that switch and try something else at quarterback. But we'll see. But yeah, because that's Auburn roster is talented. Then the Florida roster is talented as well. A lot of defenders on there. And obviously they got some talented receivers as well. And Lagway has to play another year of college football somewhere. So that could get really interesting and just make the portal in January just a complete free-for-all. If for some reason you had Taylon Green and DJ Lagway in there. Lagway, sorry. But in terms of OU stuff, yeah, Topher, maybe he does want a red shirt, and maybe he should just go back to Notre Dame where he came from. Although the CJ Carr is playing pretty well, that might not be an opening for him. But if I was Deuce Knight, I'd look to play. I'd look to play for Auburn and spice up my portal number when I hit the portal, if that's where you want to go. So, but Chris, that's really what's going on in terms of OU. We're in a waiting game for one more commitment. Hayes Fawcett has the graphic. Someone's ready to go public. It could be any time now, and usually it's just one or two names that I would have for that. But right now it's 5 names, and I'm not sure which name it could be. It could be any number of them. One last note from the 2026 verbal group. The tight end guys are having fantastic senior years. Right now, I'm just looking at Rally Preps Texas, and they have ranked Ryder Mix as the #1 tight end in the state of Texas, and he's having a great year. Ruxer out in Indiana is having a great year. The kicking Joe John Finley around on recruiting is about to take a hit, because those 2 kids are going to enroll early. And, I would say are threats to play for OU in 2026 at tight end. They'll both be 240 pounds and block very well and are excellent receivers. They're real tight ends.
Everybody still wants Joe John Gunn, I believe, but I'm a chill on it for now. So, we're winning, so it is.
Yeah, man. You want to fire a coach when we're on a winning streak. We're number 5 in the nation. All right, guys. What do you want? So, but we'll see what happens the rest of the year. So,
all right. Look, people, 33 minutes. We always keep these shows short. You know how that goes. Like, subscribe, do all that stuff on both channels. Horns Down Podcast, Sooners 360. Go to the Patreon, look that up. Obviously, subscribe to that. It's only $2. So just subscribe. You'll get all this content right here. You'll see this on his channel. And Chris Mason, he's going to double back and do another pod probably this Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday. Wednesday night. I bet by Wednesday night somebody else is committed. Maybe 2 people have committed. So I got to talk about the new commits. Yeah.
So with that being said, definitely like, subscribe, do all those different things. Get this channel here, Horns Down Podcast, to 1,000 subscribers. We're on our way. I think we're like about 150 away. So definitely like, subscribe, share, do all those different things. But with that being said, people, that's your recruiting news for tonight. We'll see you guys on Wednesday, and we'll see you guys on Thursday as well for the big show with Jason from the Hall of Fame College Football Podcast. We out.